Hello, welcome. Tuesday, usual time. What are we going to talk about today, Marianne?
Tell me, Corinna, tell me.
Being you. And it's really being who you are means you cannot be somebody else, because that position is taken by other person.
Yeah.
So how often do we think, oh, I wish I could be like fill in the blank? And how much do we see who that other person is in their fullness? We focus on one aspect and we would like to copy that aspect, which is okay. But do you really want to be the other person without knowing how their life is in all the different areas that we have? Maybe in some areas it seriously sucks. Do you still want it then? Oh, I would like to be like, are we really looking at the fact that that may not be the best idea?
Yeah.
And if I can see something in another person, it actually means that it is already within me. Otherwise, I would not be able to recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have experience on that a few times in my life. And yeah, during the awakening process, I called it before, and becoming more conscious, as though, yeah, people that triggered me, and there was a longing for me to be as them, not quite being them, but yeah, nearly the same. And when I was diving into more, or letting me in more in their world, I became more aware as though, that's not really what I am choosing, or that is a match or will work for me. Nevertheless, as you mentioned, it's about something, not about all their life or reality or everything they are, but there is something. And I noticed, and it took me a while to notice that and to become clear about that. It's more like when I allowed myself to receive everything I could get out of that part, and becoming it, acknowledge it in myself, then most of the time, as a sudden, it's like it's coming down. They're they are going out of my world, out of my life, without judgment, without confusion, without just it's flowing. And that happened a lot in my life, as though I made me even wrong for that. Yes, I made me wrong because I couldn't get it before, as though, yeah, but then you go along quite strongly, quite intimately in a way. And then as a sudden, it's done.
Yeah.
And I made me more wrong from the part as, how is it that it seems like it's so easy for me to go on and receive other information, to receive other energies, to receive whatever there is to receive. But I made myself wrong for it in the beginning. Now I know that I'm not so wrong.
I mean, don't you know you're supposed to stay with that person?
From their sides, often it is.
Yeah. Or even from this reality's perspective.
Yeah.
Because you are breaking out of the cohort.
Yeah.
To destroy the cohesion that exists between people. And that is not okay.
Yeah.
You are not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that cohesion that is loaded with judgment, with expectations, with projections, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Now, as you spoke to it, I could catch the energy as, oh wow, it was always out creating myself at that time because I couldn't acknowledge it before. I saw it through the others. I received it. I became it. So I out created myself on that point. So no cohesion necessarily any longer. Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Interesting.
And if we really look at, from my perspective, this desire to be like somebody else, to be somebody else, is uniquely human. Would an elm tree try to be a beech tree or a spruce? Talk about
Yes.
totally different kind of tree.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even cross their mind.
Correctly. Yeah.
An elm is an elm, and a beech is a beech, and a spruce is a spruce. And they are who they are without any self-judgment.
Yeah. As I would say something, and it is really extended what I'm going to say, but I'm go for it.
Go for it.
As though a tree doesn't bother or don't have that longing to be a house, for example.
Okay.
But we human beings, how often do we act as an animal? Do we act as something completely different than human because we are loaded with definitions and limitations as we pull ourselves together in a direction, forgetting who we truly are.
Yeah.
And a tree knows it is a tree.
Yeah. And a tree
Flower.
knows what contribution the tree is to the whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tree doesn't doubt that. It's us who is doubting it.
Yeah. Yes, we are the race who are doubting everything because we can't. And it's not about believing, but I'm going to use the word believe. We don't believe that we are a contribution. We don't get that.
Yeah.
But is it, Corinna, that we don't get that? Because of this cohesion also where you are talking about as it exists in all over the world, this cohesion, some parts more intense, some parts more with more ease, whatever. Nevertheless, it's loaded of expectations, separations, projections, all those kind of things. So are they leading us, pushing us away from who we are? So we can't even remember, we think, because it's a lie, we can't remember who we are as a tree knows it is a tree. A tree knows which contribution it is. A tree knows his height, his extended way to be present or whatever. So is there also a cohesion active, whatever kind of form, cohesion in nature?
I would say no. And the way I'm seeing it is that it is because of all the judgments that we have.
Yeah.
And because of the desire to be one, which cohesion would supposedly bring, let's put it that way, because it not really brings it. I don't see this being in nature. A tree is a tree, and there is not another, to stay with the example, not another elm tree that says, oh, you're not as good as you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're
That's how I
breaking
see it
rules.
also.
You are growing crooked. You are filling the blank.
Yeah.
You know?
That's how I see it also, as though a tree is an individual, and at the same time, it includes everything. It
Yes.
is aware of everything. It contributes to everything, but in the same, it's not in the same way as we do speak perhaps from value. The tree as individual has an equal value nearly as the all, as everything around. Yeah.
And there is something, and I've talked about that at some other point. In metaphysics and spirituality, we talk about oneness. And I never really could go there. It was almost repulsive to me because I got energetically that sense of, like, you have, I don't know if you know this, but here in the US, there was this green slime the kids were playing with. And as if you have different balls of slime and you smash them all together, and that is oneness.
Yeah.
And that was so disgusting to me.
Yeah.
Because it basically means I am like you and you are like me and we are like somebody else, but all individuality, all the uniqueness, all the diversity is gone.
Yeah.
Versus from a consciousness perspective, you are you, I am me, whoever else is whoever else they are, and yet at the same time, we all can be one by being connected energetically with each other. But that doesn't mean we're losing our individuality, we are losing consciousness is not interested in losing diversity, because that is where the richness is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get you. It was similar to me, as though I noticed the sense as when they spoke about oneness, it was more like we are the same.
Mm-hmm.
We are all the same. And it took my breath away, like, what are you talking about? I'm not you.
Yeah.
You are not me. So how can you say we are from that aspect? And also the judgment, a lot of judgment is like, we are one, as though at that time with 10 people, for example, we are one. So we are the good ones. We are all the same. We are all on the same path, on the same way of thinking, of acting, of whatever it was. But so much judgment in it. And that was something almost made me like, getting, don't you see it, don't you get it, that's not oneness. But I never spoke about it because at that time I couldn't bring on a different way, explain a different way, because I probably wasn't really conscious also of what true oneness truly is. I knew it was something different. It was not that what they reclaimed, but now, as you mentioned, it's the diversity, and every molecule has its place and its space.
Mm-hmm.
And we are all one with
Yeah.
everything. And that makes it fun also. And that makes it fun to create. And that makes it fun to
Exactly.
generate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And this brings in something now, the chaos, as chaos in nature also. It's something, the true chaos, the chaos that creates, the chaos that bring new things in because of the movement of the molecules, and how many of the humans are afraid, quote unquote, of that chaos.
Yeah.
Because chaos for them is, don't mess up. This is my way. These are the rules. You have to go from A to B, so don't mess up with me. And what they call chaos is completely different than what true chaos is from natural conscious
And
aspect.
that is where we love our order. Order is so
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
And the difference, what if we really go with the energy of words, the chaos that humans are afraid of is havoc. It's not that total creative Big Bang kind of chaos, but there is almost like in havoc, there is almost there is a destructive energy in it, in havoc. In chaos, there is a creative energy.
yeah, 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 and that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the havoc energy, somehow, for me, I can touch in that also what we call the killing energy, but the killing energy similar as the chaos, the killing energy that explode things for creation, for greater,
Yeah.
not from the point of view to kill and get rid of it, but yeah, the energy that is required to open some
Now,
other energies.
if I really look at that, like the Big Bang, let's stay with that image. Isn't there a killing energy that kills that initial nucleus in order to explode it to create something new,
Yeah,
something more?
yeah, yeah,
And there is the killing energy that is also part of an implosion, but it's a different energy. An
right.
implosion is, from the way I look at it, something that creates less, that kills.
Yeah, and that kills. That's literally killing for, yeah, getting it out of the way, not
Yeah.
for generating or creating something different. Yeah, yeah, and that is something that nature never choose to be. That
No.
kind of, no. No, as though in the conversation we had yesterday, Corinna, you mentioned something you came across as dead trees, but there was growing, I can't remember what it was, but something green around it and tapping
Oh,
into those quote unquote dead trees. It was like, whoa, but they only transformed their living contribution into something different. They are not truly dead. Yeah,
yeah. There was along what I saw is this there. It's a vine. I don't know the name of it, but it just covers the whole landscape, rocks, trees, anything, everything. Whatever is in that area is just covered with that vine that just uses everything. A tree becomes the skeleton of that vine where it climbs
yeah.
up and hangs down. And it was fascinating.
And can I ask something about that? Because I'm curious. It's when you notice it covers everything up. But somehow when you speak and spoke yesterday about it, there is nothing in it that assumes it is killing what it is covering, as though it is covering, yes, but in a way with respect towards what that plant or tree or whatever it is. There is something as really, yeah, from the oneness. It is individual, but everything that it is covering up has its own identity still, which is
And
contributing in a different way.
and it also contributes to the shape, the form of the vine,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it there you still can sort of see the tree or the rocks or whatever was underneath it. You couldn't visually see it, but from the shape of the vines,
yeah.
you could, let's say, you could perceive it.
Yeah. And that's interesting because that energy is really telling that even though it looks like it covers up everything, so it dominates everything, it's not really that energy of the domination as I am the king here and you don't have to say anything, you don't exist. It's not really that, because as you say, you can perceive and see due to the forms that there is some other thing going on
Yeah.
underneath it.
And
Yeah.
uh, I do not know if that vine is biologically suffocating, quote unquote, what is underneath or not. I really don't know that, but it just looks like a three-dimensional tapestry, no matter, what is underneath. So in,
Yeah.
in some sense, whatever is underneath is still alive. It may not be as an individual still be alive.
Yeah.
And that was maybe where symbiosis comes in or something.
And what brings me to a question here is also we do not know, as far I can hear from you, you do not know if this covering up came after the trees died from a fire or whatever. They already died, and then this
Yeah.
plant came up, or was it this plant that killed the trees? We
I don't
really
know.
don't
Yeah.
know. We really don't know, but somehow my sense is there that it is some other creation of nature, that this plant or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that covers up came after to yeah, as in a transformed energy of something else that there was before somehow. That's the sense I get
Yeah.
from that, but I can be totally wrong.
And even if I could ask a biologist right now who might know that, there is the lens through which we look at it. And what is the energetic?
Mm-hmm.
What are the energetics of it?
Yeah, yeah, that is what interests me.
Yeah.
How really generating energy, being the generative energy we also are, how does it function? What can show up if we allow that to be? And this brings me back into my body, as before we came on, I mentioned that my body became really, really, really intense after our conversation yesterday, and it's on the right side. So there is a knowing that there is something I don't acknowledge of me, but you asked me a beautiful question that opens up everything, and it is about something that I wanted to try to get and understand instead of choosing to be it, no matter what, how it
Yeah.
shows up, what it will be, and yeah, how often do we do that?
How often do we do that? And how scary is it to be something that I have not completely understood?
Yeah. Yeah, because when we don't understand it, we can't compute it, we can't dominate it, we can't control it.
Yep.
Then we are lost, Corinna. We are lost.
Yes.
And nevertheless, we know nothing is lost in consciousness. Nothing.
Nothing is lost. Energy is never lost.
And we do know, but we are always choosing something
Yeah.
that fits in our judgment, that fits in the cohesion we put on ourselves also.
Yep.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And I even every day my interests in nature, not for understanding nature, but really receiving and being with what nature truly is from conscious aspect. No, only just this, what nature truly is, because we are nature also. And this brings me now to a conversation I had this morning. It was about money. As we know, money is also energy, because everything is energy.
Yeah.
And there was a question we went through, as what do we see as good money and bad money? And someone brought up, yeah, but why do we do this question? Because money is energy. So what if we go with the question, what is for us bad energy and good energy? Would that change something? And what I get out of that was like, this is truly interesting, because I perceive for myself as when I go with the energy aspect, there is no good and bad energy. Energy is, and there is no intense energy or judgments or whatever. And the moment I turn energy into the word money, a lot of judgment is coming up. So that it's really interesting how we trigger ourselves into these judgments, into something that isn't. Because everything is energy. Money is energy, but energy is more than money, because energy is not only the energy of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It was
aren't
something.
we well trained?
I am.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we all went through the training, meaning growing up, having parents going to school.
Yeah. Yeah. It is so amazing, Corinna, getting that we as human race, we were born, and from the first minute, in a way, they pull out rules, definitions, structures upon us. Even the first days, you are followed as though you have to drink enough, you have to pee, you have to poo, and it has to be such and such and such, and that hour and that hour. It starts really from the beginning. When we see it in nature, let me say, cow, to mention something, but when it is born, mom is there present, but doesn't put on all those rules and definitions and whatever. They are there encouraging their babies to know what they know, to be what they are, and it's completely different. It's completely different. We are raised from the start limited already before we are born, due to all the exams you have to go through now, which wasn't years before. Nature was nature, but now also here it is strictly, and the weight has to be this way and the size has to be this way, and when there is something not in the curve of what is predictable or set as the definition, then there is something wrong, so you have to examine something different, and then you have to do this and this. It's insane, Corinna. It's insane.
Now, just as a juxtaposition, nature is stupid and humans are the most intelligent.
And you are so right.
You know, I find this so absolutely interesting.
Yeah, and it is. And it is. And it says so much about how for how many lifetimes we live from that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Limiting ourselves more and more and more, but we are so intelligent and we know so much more, and there is so much more available, but we were never as limited.
The intelligence is the ability to limit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, yes. And nearly literally what I'm seeing around me is, and it's not from the wrongness or the rightness, it's awareness, it's what I perceive, is the more intelligent, quote unquote, people, or the more studies or whatever you can name it, people has, the more they limit themselves and go with everything they are pulling out in the media about what's going on for the moment. We don't have to mention it. Everyone knows it, where we are into. But it looks like they don't have, they don't use any molecule of consciousness any longer because of the intelligence.
Yeah.
So yeah, we use our intelligence to limit us. And then, but is that the true intelligence? Because wisdom.
And what you define as intelligence.
Yeah, that as wisdom is also for me intelligent, but completely different. Wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And because it brings it up, isn't it? Intelligence is the academic intelligence.
Yeah.
Is head intelligence.
Yeah.
Wisdom is body intelligence.
Yeah, is the whole, because isn't it so that the body intelligence, that we can also use the academic intelligence to go together to create something different also, but it's different. Yeah. 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 And isn't that also required? So truth, can we truly perceive when we go only with the mental, I'm going to call it now like that, the mental intelligence? Do we really perceive there? Or is it from the body intelligence, wisdom we can perceive?
I would say the latter.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. What I discovered, Corinna, is being me is not possible when I'm pulling aside my true wisdom, when I'm pulling aside the oneness I truly can be, when I put aside everything, then I can't really be me.
I would fully agree.
I'm not sure you could hear me because my side you are.
No, I actually.
Yeah, I can't understand you any longer. Interesting.
Oh.
Oh, Corinna, I think we have to wrap up because I
Interesting.
can't.
Is it time to close?
I can't understand. It's breaking up my side so much that I can't understand you any longer. Oh, I see you doing thumbs up. Okay. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh my God.